Jordan ducked out in the Iowa gear. I like it.
Yeah, that's still waiting on my high school track gear because I haven't got nothing yet. So all I'm doing is rocking my Iowa stuff.
Yeah. I'm
All right,
surprised, Greg, you got that out of Greg, man. Or did you buy that yourself?
This one from Shields. So it's a nice one too. So I had to drop a little. Not getting the free stuff anymore definitely hurts.
I know, right?
All right, we're going in. Hello there, Hawkeye fans, and welcome to the Rapid Reaction Podcast here on HawkFanatic.com. Happy to be joined, as always, by Jovan Johnson and Jordan Canzeri, former Hawkeyes. We're on a win streak, fellas. That's 4 in a row, keeping the pig in Iowa City for an 8th year in a row. Iowa 13, Minnesota 10. Just like they drew it up, right, guys?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I love the way all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've talked about it. It's kind of been interesting how we've done this podcast through the weeks this year. And it's just kind of how we've gotten to this place. It's been kind of a cool journey to kind of watch this team figure out what it needed to do to win football games. And now in the driver's seat, win the next week against Nebraska and headed back to Indy for the Big Ten championship game for a 2nd year in a row. Kind of crazy thinking about where we were after the Ohio State game, but I'm going to give the floor to you guys as I normally do, just kind of with thoughts on how you feel. I think we started with Jovan last week. Let's start with Jordan this week.
Got to feel good, like you said, a win streak, and with everything still within our reach, everything in our power. And it's definitely crazy to feel how much uncertainty there was in the beginning. And it's something where we can admit that some ups and downs definitely made you wonder what the rest of the season could really look like. And just knew once they got their, certain chemistry up front with the line, some better things could happen once Petras had a little more time within himself to be grounded. And he, even though he didn't throw any touchdowns, he didn't. I don't believe. Yeah.
No, he did not today.
So, but there were still points where he was very accurate on drives, and others, again, just some throws we can make. But again, when it mattered, we made plays, and defense, again, was able to make the stops, and special teams was doing well. So, again, got to be excited for win after win after win, but to still have the opportunity for Indy is huge.
Yeah, huge throw by Spencer late in that game, man. Campbell should have had a touchdown, but, man, what a throw to Lachey. Jovan, let's hear it.
Yeah, I love games like that, believe it or not. Those nail-biter games where, it's coming down to the last series and you have your defense, in Iowa's case, on the field. I mean, I feel real good about our defense when they're on the field to close out games. And, it's one of those games where, again, we talked about this last week, about having all 3 phases playing together. And the guys in that locker room have done a tremendous job of weathering the storm and staying the course and going out and competing and doing what Iowa does. And they've done a tremendous job of just, chipping away at that thing and, one play at a time, not trying to get too ahead of themselves. And what a gutsy call, interception down when they're driving 2 series in a row, you get 2 big turnovers. The fumble, that was the biggest play of the game. And then, the forced interception by Riley Moss to Jack Campbell. I mean, I thought he scored. They showed on TV that he scored, but, they call you down or call you out of bounds at the 45, and then a gutsy play call and a great throw by Petras. Just, again, the guys in the locker room believing in each other, believing in themselves, and the coaching staff doing a great job of helping them stay the course.
Yeah, I don't understand why they couldn't review that play on the sideline with Campbell. But apparently that's what they were saying on the broadcast, that they couldn't review that play. Seems silly. That seems like something you would obviously review. A guy on a scoring play. I thought that would be something that you could review. You guys know anything about that rule?
I mean, from what they said on TV, it was because they called him out of bounds, they couldn't advance the ball after from that point to call it a touchdown. But if they called it a touchdown, then they could review it to see if he stepped out or overturn it that way. But I think they need to do something about that. But in all honesty, it's like one of those plays where if you fumble the ball, you can't progress it if somebody is, however it is, some weird rules that they have. But I think they do need to take a look at instances like that, because that could have been a play that cost the game.
Yeah, no doubt. And maybe, some good came out of that, Jordan, because the offense, as we've talked about, complementary football, instead of Campbell scoring that, and they're like, oh, the defense did it again for us. The offense has to come back on the field, make a play, get them down there to get in field goal range. Complementary football, all three phases contribute.
Yeah, it's huge. And I know people out there have most likely seen it happen before, where a player has the opportunity to score and falls short of the end zone, because you want to be able to kill clock more so, or in some situations, rather than just try to score quick. And I remember even my senior year against Purdue at home for senior day, Phil Parker wasn't too happy when I scored on that late long run. But defense still did a great job. But yeah, either way, offense again made the right throw, and Ferentz always would talk about next man in, and Lachey definitely did his thing on that. So that was great to see, because obviously losing a guy like Laporte is huge.
Yeah, I hit you guys with some individual numbers here. Petras, 15 of 24. That's 62.5%. Anything over 60 for him is real good. For 221, longest throw was 58 yards. Tough day on the ground, but figured that would be the case. LaShawn Williams, 11 for 38. Caleb Johnson, 8 for 43. We can talk about why Caleb didn't get a little bit more run. That was a little strange to me, but I don't know if there's an injury or something there. Luke Lachey, 5 for 77. Laporta, 4 for 95 right away before getting knocked out. Brody Brecht with a couple of huge first down catches in that game. For a guy that hadn't done a lot this year, Jovan, that was big. I mean, to make the plays in that weather, huge first downs.
Heck yeah. I mean, those big catches come back as plays in the game that really sealed the victory, because, I know in a few times they were in third down situations, and, it was kind of scary, couple questionable play calls, but, Spencer stood in there, made the throws, and freaking great catches on third down to get first downs. I mean, anytime you keep the chains moving, it gives you the best opportunity to win and keep the clock rolling.
Jordan, were you wondering about Caleb not being in there? I can't help you with injury. We didn't hear anything this week about injuries, and he was back on kickoffs too, so I think he was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear anything about injuries either, and even with the less amount of carries he received, he still had the most efficiency. So I was curious as well to see him not be the lead ball carrier. And early on, the run definitely was struggling, but in the end, made a couple, again, just those certain plays that mattered to keep the clock going, to get those first downs with the big catches. So in the end, things were all right, but I was also a little curious.
Total yards, guys, Minnesota with 465, Iowa with 333. Obviously, net rushing yards, 312 to 59. That was one man doing a whole lot of damage, Jovan. Ibrahim, I mean, he's one of those guys where you're like, oh, they got him stopped, and then boom, he's kind of squirts out of there, and he's picking up 5, 6, 7 yards every carry.
Yeah, I mean, I know Coach Parker is telling those guys and on the defensive side of the ball, you got to eliminate the big play. And typically, the more big plays you give up, those plus 20-yard plays, whether run or through the pass, typically it lessens the chance of you winning. But, when you give up big runs, Ibrahim is one of those running backs that he can make a big play at any moment. And, he's had a steady career at Minnesota where he's probably going to be an NFL running back. But at the end of the day, we called a cat blitz where we sent the corner and he didn't squeeze it down. So it was, he's the contain guy. And then he breaks off a 70 or 60 or something yard run, so the stats are what they are. But, it's just Ibrahim making plays. I know they're really not, happy with those big plays they gave up because they pretty much kept them in check minus the big plays.
What were you seeing there that was allowing those pops when he was getting? It looked like he was going untouched a lot of times. Just getting past that first line of defense and then he just was off.
Yeah, I mean there were certain plays where you like I said on that corner blitz. Riley's the contain guy, so he has to make that tackle because he's the last line of defense on that play. A couple of times, he cut back. And the defense over pursued and gave him a cutback lane. It's just little things, staying in your gap, doing your assignment and not, getting out of your gap. Because in Iowa's defense, everything is a gap and every player has a gap. And if you're not in your gap, typically things like that happen. There was one play where they ran zone read and the quarterback pulled it. And the defensive end went down to the back and the safety also went down to the back. So just a little miscommunication. One of those guys have the quarterback and the other one has the dive. So, just making sure that your assignment's sharp and that just a couple plays like that hurt.
Running back of Palooza in the Big Ten this year, Chase Brown, Blake Corum, Mo Ibrahim. I mean, some guys that'll be playing on Sundays. Jordan, who do you like the best out of that group?
I would say it's tough where I would say to watch, I like Corum. I think the grit that he has a little bit more so is exciting to watch. But I would say if you think about NFL ready of the three, I would say Ibrahim.
What do you think, Jovan?
Yeah, I think out of those guys, I think Ibrahim is the most NFL ready. But like I agree with Jordan. I think Corum is the most exciting to watch. But I think Brown has some stuff with him. I think he has a skill set that's unique for the next level. Like he can run between the tackles, he can get on the edge, he can catch the ball out the backfield. I think he's probably the most valuable of the three.
Need to get number 2 for Iowa, 15, 20 carries a game and see what happens.
I'm trying to tell you, he's special. That kid's special.
Yeah. I'm not sure the reasoning. I'm sure Kirk will be asked about it after the game, just in terms of the rotation there at running back. What were you seeing, Jordan, in terms of why Iowa was so successful throwing to the tight end today?
They were very committed to the run. Not so much in coverage, like covering the running backs with the pass, but they wanted to make sure they eliminated that, and they did. For the most part, especially in that first half. So when you have guys coming up to that line of scrimmage, expecting the run, that's when all the play actions are most effective. And our tight ends just definitely ate off of that. And again, it was just really good to see Lachey. Even though all year he's gotten opportunities and taken in a good advantage of them, but to have Laporta come out at a time, that is a lot of pressure now on him for a young buck. So to see him make those big plays again, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, number 14, the freshman receiver again.
Brody Brecht. Yeah, I always mentioned him earlier. Big third down catches for him, man. And he's been hurt for the last 2 years since he got here. He throws 98 baseball. He's on the Iowa baseball team. Kid probably would have been a top 2-3 round pick. But told them not to take him because he wanted to come to college and play football and baseball.
Oh, yeah, that's what we like. Like to hear guys who got potential and they're still willing to put that aside for the game of football. That's how you know they love it. But, yeah, to be a young buck at 6'4", and then making those big plays when he was asked to step in, definitely great to see. So, again, we're the one thing that we mentioned a few games back, and now that we keep seeing it because we're going on that winning streak, is to just early on, we were saying for Iowa fans, you got to just have that patience, and to see your team, you would much rather see them improve weekly than get worse and worse. And you can definitely say for this season, when people have had to step up in roles, younger people or other positions in general, especially towards the end of the season, have stepped up, and that's great to see.
Jovan, and then back to Jordan on this one. Offensive line, we've been critical of this unit a lot this year, struggled a lot last week against some of the things Wisconsin was doing with the 3-4. I thought a little bit better today, particularly in pass pro. What'd you think, Jovan?
Yeah, I think Minnesota threw a lot of different looks at them, and I thought that they executed and they were up for the challenge, because I saw a few times Minnesota walked the linebackers up at the line of scrimmage. They sent them a couple times. They dropped them a couple times. They got into a 3-man front a couple times. So they threw a lot of different looks at them, and I thought they definitely responded to the point where Minnesota had to bring some outside pressures and things like that. Like later in the game, they brought the corner blitz that caused the sack after the big Caleb Johnson run. But just things like that, when you go to, blitzing off the edge and things like that, is because you can't get that same pressure up the middle. So I thought they executed and they played well.
That was a good defensive call. Didn't you think, Jordan? It looked like they went right at the young tight end, Estrenga, 87, on that corner blitz, and he had no idea what was going on. He ran out in his route, and that guy just leveled Petrus.
Yeah. And just as mentioned, for it to be right after a big run, that's definitely a killer. Those are those moments where there's a few times we shot ourselves in the foot. But again, just staying strong, keeping together. There's no pointing fingers on the sidelines, and you could see that again, all just three faces of the ball came in clutch when they had to. And again, just really happy to see them have the turnaround that they've had.
Want to step in here and let people know that are listening that support for the podcast comes from Systems Unlimited, celebrating 50 years of providing services to people living with disabilities and mental health needs throughout East Central Iowa. List of their services and upcoming events can be found at sui.org. That's sui.org. Thank you to Systems Unlimited. We'll hear from a few more of our sponsors here and be right back on the other side. And we're back. I think we take them for granted sometimes, Jovan, but the specialist, Tory Taylor, Drew Stevens, true freshman kicker, dude has ice in his veins.
Yeah, we almost iced him ourselves.
What was going on there? Ryan was freaked. Do either of you guys know what the heck he was mad at?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure he was mad because they took a timeout to ice the kicker, and he just made the kick. So that was a very interesting turn of events. That could have really cost us big because he snuck that one inside the upright when on the second one, but he made the first one clean. So I don't know what happened, but I've never seen in a football game you ice your own kicker. But for the game, as a whole, Tory Taylor continues to impress. He's one of the best punters in all of football. And the things that he can do with the ball. I seen one time he kicked the ball to the right and then boomerang back to the left, and the returner didn't even have an idea what was going on. But just the ability to do things and place the ball where it needs to be placed, and the special teams unit flying down on punting and down in kicks inside the 20, I think is amazing. But yeah, this true freshman kicker definitely has ice in his veins, and the fact that he's only a true freshman and he's only going to continue to get better. He reminds me of a young Nate Katie.
Yeah, that's high praise, no doubt. For sure. I think Tory can boomerang because he's from Australia, and that's where they have boomerang. So that's the connection there on that one. Jordan, you too. Special teams, I think sometimes we take it for granted, but coverage teams, as Jovan said, Cooper DeJean again runs down there, bats it back in. It's like we see this stuff so regularly that I want to caution fans not to take that for granted. That's really, really important.
Yeah, because obviously you can just look at the like black and white of, oh, the defense, they're meant to stop, offense is meant to score, special teams is to just help in either scoring as well or getting the ball on the other side of the field. But the people really love the game of football, understand the importance of when they truly work together. It's the moments that matter where they help each other out in a heavy magnitude, where if the defense gets a stop within the opponent's 20, and now the offense is automatically in the red zone, the playbook narrows. When the special teams, the punter can kick it down and get it within the 5-yard and in, and the opposing team has their offense, their backs right up against the end zone, their playbook narrows. So it's those ways that the defense and offense and special teams like really can help each other out in those moments. And again, Tory Taylor just doing a great job in doing so.
Jovan, start with you on this one. The setup is you beat Nebraska, you go to Indianapolis. Nebraska lost again today. They were winning the whole game, lost to Wisconsin at home 15-14. Coming in here at 3-8, interim coach. I mean, they're going to be given no chance from Iowa's angle. You got to guard against that, right?
Yeah, this is one of those trap games. It's one of those games where you can't get comfortable, can't be complacent. You got to go out and execute and take it to them from start to finish. You can't give them any sliver of a hope. And I think, Ferentz and company are going to express that to the players. They're going to let them know, hey, like, let's not look past this team and think that we're just putting our ticket in the Big Ten championship. We got to go out and win this game first. And that's going to be the message throughout the week. But it's one of those games. I mean, they played Wisconsin tough. I mean, Wisconsin played us tough. So it's not just going to be a cakewalk. I think we're just going to show up and win the game. But I think, we'll be thoroughly prepared and ready to go and firing on all cylinders. Hopefully we can get Laporta back. That's going to be a very big loss if we have to lose him for that game. But, I think, we should be able to run the ball and keep the clock moving and defensively get stops when we need them, because I know Nebraska's down bad and we got an opportunity to stamp our ticket to the Big Ten championship.
Jordan, and I should have mentioned this. I apologize. Monty Pottebaum, the starting fullback, was out today too, and you could kind of notice his absence. Jordan, speak to that a little bit, and then you played in this Nebraska series. Talk about that a little bit, what this series means.
Well, I mean, first I'll go off from with you not having your starting fullback. That's huge, especially for the run game. I can definitely say from experience when I had some amazing fullback leading the way for me in my time at Iowa. And, especially my senior year guys that I came in with, Macon Pleva and Adam Cox, that it makes a huge difference when you have that guy who is just willing to run up there full head of steam and knock the linebacker out for you. That does make a huge difference for the run game. But no, just in general, very excited for him. And again, yeah, as saying this is a trap game, it's almost great that this is a trophy game because that they already understand they can't take their foot off the. We know that no matter what, any team that we come across, we treat them the same way. Because Coach Ferentz is great on that, where it's the energy level doesn't have to change just because, this team is a bigger rivalry to us. No, each week we're going out there. It doesn't matter who the opponent is, and we're going to get the win. And so it's to keep the emotions level, not get too excited. But yeah, when you look at a record of a team, sometimes it can really get influence where, if it's a bad record, then some guys might relax a little bit. But again, I don't think they'll have that problem. Both Coach Parker and Coach Ferentz both do a great job on that, both sides of the ball, getting us prepared. So I'm not worried at all. But yeah, especially for us having the opportunity to still get an Indy. This as a trophy game, a lot on the line. So I don't think they'll be hesitating or pulling anything back at all.
Yeah, going back to the fullback thing, I've interviewed a lot of those guys through the years. Those are a special breed, man. Guys that just run it, run it first into a linebacker, man. You got to be built different. So definitely shout out to those guys. All right, guys. I'll leave you with this. Get your opinions on this one. Who do you want? Ohio State or Michigan? Start with you, Jordan. Revenge against the Wolverines, or a shot at that? Actually, revenge against both of these teams from this year.
Well, I would say at this point, obviously feel terrible. I was going back and forth between some games, but I didn't see the end result for Corum, if he was truly seriously injured or not. And obviously you don't want that for any players, for, again, someone who's doing so well too. But if so, and they don't have him and they muster a win out of beating Ohio State, that's a team that lost a key factor. Even Ohio State has some injuries right now, offensively in big spots. So either way, it would be a great game, but I would say personally, it would be nice to get a little revenge against Michigan for last year.
Jovan? You're on mute, man. I think you're on mute.
I don't really care which team we play, because I want revenge against both of them. But I think that we match up very well against Michigan, and the style of play. I think it translates to like how we like to play defense and things like that. I think Ohio State has the ability to air it out a little bit more because of their receivers and an outstanding quarterback. But at the end of the day, I'd rather play either one because we took 2 losses. Those are 2 of our losses on the season. So, but like Jordan said, losing a kid like Corum for Michigan is a big loss. So, hopefully he's able to come back. But if not, I think that would play to our favor if we were to get Michigan.
Yeah, I was watching that game. They said in the broadcast that he was pissed off they wouldn't let him go back in the game. So that's hopefully a good sign that he wasn't hurt too badly, and will be able to play next week again. You want to see Michigan and Ohio State at full strength and let those two go at it hard. I did want to mention this is a Hawkeye podcast, but I kind of had mixed emotions today watching Illinois. Brett Bielema, former Hawkeye, lost his mom this week, and his guys played their ass off today. Really came close to pulling that off in Michigan. I know you guys probably feel the same way when you see that happen. And I know Dallas Clark reached out to him this week and tried to, I'm sure guys on the Iowa staff reached out to him, and once a Hawkeye, always a Hawkeye, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
Always.
Yeah. And it's great where, especially an alumni as ours, and the Hawkeye community. I will never forget some conversations with other people from different places and different schools, and they would be like, wait, it was like what? People were like, how? And they were like surprised, just the type of energy and atmosphere of some things. And as you said, I'm sure he has plenty of people that even haven't been noticed reaching out to him, and just wish the best for his family.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'd be pretty surprised if Kirk didn't reach out to him. He was on Kirk's staff. That was before you got here, Jovan, or were you here when was he still here?
No, he was before me. He was Bielema was, I believe, at Wisconsin by the time I got to Iowa. But like echoed what Jordan said, it's a family, and it's bigger than the game of football, and anytime, somebody from your alma mater loses someone near and dear to their hearts, all of our hearts break for that, because we know how hard it is to lose a family member. So, prayers out to Bielema and his family and their team, and also, prayers out to the University of Virginia and the University of Idaho as well for losing the people that they lost and the unfortunate situations involved with their school shootings and things like that. So, it's a crazy world we live in. But we just got to continue to preach love and keep showing love to each other.
Well said. And I know I got a feeling if Iowa wins, or when Iowa wins next week and makes it to the Big Ten championship, Brett's got a big Tiger Hawk tattoo on his calf. I'm sure he'll be pulling for Iowa, whether it's against Ohio State or Michigan. So That's going to do it for us, folks. We appreciate everybody watching the YouTube feed and listening to the podcast. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We will talk to you on Friday next week after Iowa takes care of business against the Huskers. Happy Thanksgiving to you two guys, Jovan and Jordan, and have a good time with your families.
You too. Thanks.
You too. I appreciate it.